Thank you so much for joining me here at the Real ResQ podcast, powered by Vertical Helicast. I'd like to take an opportunity to say thank you to our sponsors of this episode, Collins Aerospace. They are working side by side with their customers and partners to dream, design, and deliver solutions that redefine the future of our industry. Check them out today at collinsaerospace.com. Now, coming up next in this episode, this is a rarity for me. I don't get this very often, so I'm truly humbled and honored to have these guys together in this in particular episode to hear this specific story. It's about the fishing vessel Hunter and what happened off Shelikof Strait in Alaska. Again, something that we don't usually hear about, which is another reason I love doing this podcast. I want to welcome back again United States Coast Guard rescue swimmer number 502, Mr. Matt Theissen, and his survivor from the fishing vessel Hunter, Captain Ron Blake. My name is Jason Quinn. I am United States Coast Guard rescue swimmer number 500. These are my rescues and rescues from those of us that put our lives on the line every day so others may live. This is the Real ResQ podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Real ResQ podcast. I've got our boy, Mr. Matt Theissen, United States Coast Guard rescue swimmer number 502. Fellow classmate. Love it, dude. Love it, dude. And just so happens we have one of the people that he got called out for a rescue to, and that is Captain Ron Blake from the fishing vessel Hunter. Oh my gosh, you guys, I am so pumped to have you guys on. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I'm pumped. Let's do this.
I freaking love you guys. This is awesome. All right, so now let me explain this to everybody just a little bit because it's kind of cool. This story, you guys have not actually heard each other's stories. So not only is this the first time for me to hear this story, it's also the first time for you guys to hear what happened prior to you getting launched out, Matt. And then Ron, for you, hey, thumbs up. All right. And then prior to Ron, prior to what happened and how he got launched out in that whole side. So this is pretty cool. I'm super pumped about this. Additionally, I'm going to bring up something real quick right here because you guys, Matt, for you, mad props. You earned an air medal off this rescue. Congratulations. It's pretty badass. And you guys were also mentioned in the book. Is it a book? Is that right? The Time Bandit?
Yep.
All right.
Time Bandit. Yep.
So Time Bandit book. Let's see. Two brothers, the Bering Sea, and one of the deadliest jobs. One of the world's deadliest jobs. And then I'm going to skip down to a paragraph because I want to read this. This is pretty cool. I like this. So in the book, the guy says, last year in the bar in Kodiak town, I ran into Matt Theissen, a rescue swimmer for the Coast Guard, based at Air Station Kodiak. For recreation, Matt surfs in freezing Alaska waters, just to give you an idea of his toughness. Yeah. Hit the water last year to rescue 4 crewmen on the fishing vessel Hunter. The fishing boat sank in the Shelikof Strait in the winter. His story is only one of probably hundreds the Coast Guard could tell about rescuing fishermen in the Bering Sea. But Hunter's tale illustrates for me what these guys go through for our safety. Friggin' awesome. And that's just the beginning. And then it gets into a bit of the story there. Now, Matt, for you, and Ron, I guess this is for you too. Hey, Ron, just out of curiosity, have you heard Matt's write-up for his air medal?
I have not. I did the year after he rescued me. That next 4th of July in Cordova, we have the little parade and things. And I did go over and do the Coast Guard. They were kind of, this group of them kind of off by themselves. And they did mention that he'd gotten a medal, but I didn't know that much about it. Just that he got a medal.
Cool. Very cool. He did. He did indeed. I'm going to read in a second. Matt, let me come to you real quick.
Yep.
What did the rest of the crew get anything or?
Yeah, whole crew got air medals. It was some
Awesome.
insane flying. We had icing alarms going off. We were collecting ice down at the water level from all the sea fog that was freezing, collecting, just like the boat was collecting ice. That's why it went down, right?
Yeah.
And flying through Buskin Pass, it was ripping through there. I think it was negative 21 degrees as we were coming through Buskin Pass, and almost near zero visibility. They were flying through the pass like a submarine through a trench. It was incredible. The C-130 that was overhead, those guys were getting knocked around, and I talked to a bunch of the guys on the C-130 afterwards. They were getting sick in there, and they did a great job. They actually spotted the raft and found them. So kudos to them. I think they all got commendation medals just
Heck.
flying overhead. Yeah, it was wicked. It was gusting 60 to 80 knot winds, and
Oh
yeah,
my
it was
God.
incredible.
Well, let me read this. Let me read the award and then we'll get into it. Congratulations to you and your entire crew. Again, this is C-130 guys as well. It's not every day the C-130 boys get something, so props to them too. All right, let me get into this. Citation to accompany the award of the Air Medal to Matthew J. Theissen, Aviation Survival Technician, 2nd Class, United States Coast Guard. Officer Thiessen is cited for meritorious achievement in aerial flight while serving as rescue swimmer aboard Coast Guard helicopter 6013 on 7 January 2007. Officer Thiessen and crew launched from Air Station Kodiak in response to a distress signal emanating from a life raft with 4 survivors from the fishing vessel Hunter. The vessel had rapidly iced over, capsized, and sank, forcing the crew to abandon ship. With gusty 50-knot winds, churning seas, and near zero visibility due to billowing ice fog, Officer Thiessen willingly deployed using a degraded hoist to the survivors below. Rapidly assessing the survivors, he towed the most critical from the raft through the icy water and breaking waves to the rescue basket. With his mask rendered useless by freezing spray, he was forced to discard it, leaving his face exposed to the harsh elements. During the hour-long rescue, his eyes repeatedly froze shut, requiring him to continuously submerge his face in the Arctic water to maintain his vision. At one point, he displayed tremendous physical prowess and demanded several minutes of maximum effort swimming to catch the swiftly drifting raft. Recovering the second survivor proved treacherous as the helicopter cabin became encrusted with ice. Officer Thiessen lost his footing and fell out of the aircraft while still attached to the hoist cable. Undaunted, he was able to quickly scramble back into the cabin. At great personal risk and nearing exhaustion in some of the most physically demanding conditions imaginable, Officer Thiessen repeatedly deployed into the frigid waters until the last survivor was safely in the helicopter. Officer Thiessen's actions and aeronautical skill were instrumental in saving 4 crew members from the fishing vessel Hunter. His courage, judgment, and devotion to duty are most heartily commended in keeping with the highest traditions of the United States Coast Guard. Bro. Oh my God. What a write-up. You get to sit back seat though. We gotta backtrack. Run. Icing conditions. The whole boat capsized. You guys are in the water. What happened? Holy cow.
Wow. Well, I'm a little emotional now, right? I didn't realize it was quite that bad for Matt, but I knew it was something.
Well,
Because
wait a minute. Bad for Matt. You were on a boat in negative 20-degree weather, iced up and capsized. That sucks.
yeah, we had our own problems. There's no doubt
Right?
about that. Yeah. So so we left Cordova. I think we must have left Cordova on the morning of the 6th, I guess it would have been. Yeah. And we had a nice forecast. I'm always petrified of the Barren Islands, right? but we've never headed. I'd never went to Dutch that early before. I didn't realize it was a problem on the west end of Kodiak. But we got across Barren Islands, and I told the guys, I said, we got off lucky. It looks like we're going to have a nice trip. And then we kept traveling. We're headed for Dutch because peacock price was high, so we wanted to get there earlier than we normally would. And we hit Polly Bay, and it was just a wall of wind and ice. And some of the write-ups in the paper said when the helicopter got there, it was blowing 46. But at that time, it was blowing more like what Matt was saying. The email I sent my brother on SkyMate was 60 to 80 knots of wind, lots of ice. But our SkyMate had said that it was going to be, I want to say it was either variable 15 or north 15. And I figured we'd get across the bay and the wind would die down, right? And so we go across Polly Bay, and I couldn't say the name of the point where we sunk, even if I had it in front of me, but and the wind kept blowing. And we're starting to take on a bunch of ice, and it was cold, right? So, we dressed up, and there's 4 of us on the boat, and we would go out in pairs to beat ice, and you'd make it about 15 minutes before everything hurt. And so then you'd switch off, right? You go in, but there's nothing. It was blowing, so we were up against the beach, and the wind was coming off this bluff, and it was picking up the water, right? Swirling the water, picking it up, and then sticking it to the side of the boat, all the way up to the top of the rigging. There's nothing you can do about it. And I wasn't really a religious man, right? But I remember I went in the bait shed, and I'm throwing these brand new coils of ground line to the other side of the boat, thinking, man, God, if you just get me out of this, then I'll do whatever you want. I remember thinking that, right? And, I came out of that bait shed, and we went from the main focus being on saving the boat to the main focus on let's just hope that we might survive.
Wow.
And so as we came up to this point, and it was just right after I came out of the bait shed, I came up to the wheelhouse, and we came to that point, and there's the water tornadoes. You guys have seen those, right? When it's really blowing hard. Yeah. We came up, the water tornadoes. And the first one that hit us rolled the boat way over, and I turned the wheel hard and gave it some throttle, and it popped back up. There's another one about 100 fathoms behind it, and that second one rolled us again, and we took a scoop of water. Our hatches weren't bolted down. We'd had the boat in tremendous weather and never had a hatch come off, but we had a little bit shorter hatch in the front, and it had a little hatch for putting fish on, and that popped off, and we took a scoop of water in that, and the boat wouldn't come back up. And that's when, and then, so then I issued a mayday call, which I don't think anybody got, right? We're leaning on our side. It wouldn't surprise me. And everything was covered in ice. And then we went to just survival suit mode and trying to get the life raft knee perk. So we the guy that, and we actually did do drills, not like we should have, but everybody knew what their job was, right? And the guy that was in charge of the survival suit, we had a special survival suit for the captain under the bunk in the wheelhouse that had fingers and everything. And I came out of the door, and he was standing on the mast of the boat with no survival suit, and he's supposed to be in charge of them. And so I handed him my survival suit, and then I went back into the boat. And I guess I need to backtrack about 2 years to explain this situation. So the first year I was in Dutch, the Coast Guard came down and gave us a safety inspection. And we had a big pile of survival suits, like 11 or 12 of them or something. And a few of them weren't good. And they told me that I should just throw those out because one day my boat might be sinking and I might need to grab one out of the pile. And I needed to know that they were good. And that day, and it was a little bit out of character for me because I didn't have the respect I should have for the Coast Guard. But for some reason that day, I threw out like 6 survival suits and I went down to the store and I bought 2 more. And so now here I am. My boat's sinking. I am in exactly that situation. I remember I saw my life license was floating in the sink because water was coming up through the sink. It was floating in the sink and it was 6 feet away. And I'm thinking, you have no business in this boat. You have to get out, right? Seconds count. So now I'm able to go in there and grab a survival suit, knowing it's a top-notch survival suit, right? I mean, wow. They looked at, some of my survival suits, they were good enough, but they said, you're fishing in the Bering Sea now. You shouldn't have this, right? Yeah. And so there's a chance that 2 years earlier, somebody might have already saved my life, because if I'm not in a survival suit, I mean, Matt knows I'm dead. I'm dead. Mm-hmm. Wow. And so I come out, and then the guy's still standing there holding the special one for and so I help him get dressed and I help me get dressed, and then on the boats we're losing about, I'm gonna say, a foot a minute. The boat's it's on its side and it's going down about a foot a minute. Holy shit. And so the first thing we do, we had 2 life rafts on that boat. We had a 6-man Sitwick, the one that I guess the helicopters carry.
Switlick.
Yep. Yeah, and then we had a 4-man Guardian life raft that didn't have the offshore pack, right? We had it just because the boat fished quite a bit, and there's times where one's getting repacked and the other, so you have the other one so you can still legally go, right? Right. Well, that 4-man was on the down ice side of the boat, and so me and it was an 18-year-old kid. No matter how hard we pried, we couldn't get that thing off the boat. And it didn't have near the ice it had a little ice on it, but it wasn't like there was a foot or more of ice on the raft that was right next to the EPIRB, which
a foot of ice on the raft. Holy
cow. Oh yeah, the raft was on the roof of the boat. We had on the roof of on the roof of the wheelhouse. On the ice side, we had the life raft in front, then the EPIRB right behind it. Then on the other side, we had another life raft on the roof of the boat. And so I couldn't, because it's cold out, right? I had like 3 pairs of pants and 2 coats and all that on. I couldn't get my survival suit to zip up all the way. And so when we couldn't pry that off, and as we're doing this, I'm like, no, we need, we got to have the EPIRB too. And the boat's sinking, and I tried to get, I tried to swim down first to the I don't know what I was thinking, right? Of course, that didn't work to the other one. And then I kind of grabbed the top of the wheelhouse and threw myself down, and I was able to kick that glob of ice that was the life raft in the EPIRB, but not real hard, just moderately. I'm like, that's not going to work. And so then we had a couple of poles that were hanging on the mast of the boat, and I was swimming over to grab one of those, and the boat, every once in a while we get just this little swell, and it rocked the boat a little bit, so the rigging was thrashing, and I had to kind of back up, and then the EPIRB and the life raft popped up right next to each other.
Wow,
right? Nice. And that same wave, when that popped up, it washed the other 2 guys off the boat a little bit, and the guy that had been the statue grabbed onto the other guy, and his feet, and the other guy towed him to the life raft. And so then the young kid, Andy was his name. It's John, and Andy. And he started just ripping the painter cord out. And I was like, whoa, stop. Right? We got to gather around, right?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you can't have a kite, right? And so we all gathered around, and I'm really in bad shape, actually, because my suit's full of water. And one of the other Johns, big bushy beard, he didn't get his suit zipped up all the way either, and he was full of water. So then we popped the life raft, and Andy, the young kid, was in it, before it was inflated. He was just in it, yarding people in. He got us all in there probably about the time the thing was inflated, maybe even a little bit before. We were all in the raft. And so we get in the raft, and I am sitting there, and I'm like this,
Shivering.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I just uncontrollably. John, he's he's the one that Matt took first. He said his goodbyes. He's like, I'm not going to make it, guys. I'm done. And so, and one of the things they tell you in all the safety classes, right, is you got to take inventory, right? I remember thinking that as I'm like, well, let's see what we got, right? And the one of the things that our 6-man raft had that the other one didn't is those thermal protective aids, right? The little suit, the little space, like almost tinfoil suit you can put in.
Yes, the space blankets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I put my head in one of those, right? Just put my head in there. And in 15 minutes, I'm feeling way better. And so then we put John's head in there with me. And then, we're the two guys that were seasoned fishermen. And so, about 15 minutes later, he's doing fine too. So we pop our heads out, right? And John looks at the EPIRB. He goes, shouldn't that thing be blinking? Right? And it was one of the ones where you had to manually activate it. And so so to get your timeline, when that EPIRB signal came, we'd been in the water for about a half hour.
Oh
right?
my God.
Yeah. And so then we turned that on, and
And I don't think your Mayday made it out. I don't think we didn't respond to your Mayday. The C-130 picked up the pings on your EPIRB.
Yeah, we were on our side when that Mayday went out.
Yeah.
Right. And so, and John's first thing after he popped his head out is, did you get any response from the Mayday? And I was like, no. Of course, we're coming up on dark, right? We're in ice fog. None of us, there wasn't a one of us that expected the Coast Guard to show up that day, that evening, that night. Nobody there, right? I've been through it. They call, they check, you know what I mean? You don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
Right.
And, we had discussion as, it's probably going to be morning before we see anybody. And, and so we're sitting there. It must have been around an hour. We thought we heard a C-1, we thought we heard a plane fly by, right? But we weren't ready for it. And so then now we're straining our ears, and like 10, 15 minutes later, we hear it coming. And Andy, the young kid, waved his hand out the end of the thing, and he saw the C-130 go by, right? He saw it swoop down and go by, and we were pretty sure they'd seen us. And life-changing, right? When you realize there's people there that have come to try and save you, right? This is life-changing. And I remember thinking, I am really, really glad I live in a country where there's not some politician trying to make a business decision on whether or not they should save me, right?
Amen.
Just really. So So then, it must have been about another hour when the Coast Guard showed up, and it's just when Matt pulled the first one of us out, it was just starting to get dark. It's just the hint of the light going away. And
all right, hold on, wait. Yeah, don't go too far yet. Don't go too far yet. I got to get Matt in the scene right now. All right,
Okay.
see, you flip over the EPIRB. It now turns on. You've been sitting in the water for 30 minutes before the first ping goes out. Matt, what comes over the alarm? Because I know Air Station Kodiak very well. Loved it being up there. You're on duty at this point, or it's just the C-130 guys that, or you're come on?
Well, I don't think an alarm went off for the C-130. I think they were already airborne. They must have been doing pattern work or something like that. And when the EPIRB kicked off, they probably headed that way, right? So probably when they did that low level pass and they spotted them, that's when they radioed back to the air station and the alarm went off for us. I think we were, from when the alarm went off to when we were on scene, was probably about 20 minutes, because it was a shot over, just a shot over Buskin Pass into Shelikof Strait. And we don't normally fly up that way very often, but it's our backyard, so we were there pretty quick. And we also knew that it was getting dark quick, and we wanted to get this done before it got dark, because that complicates things, doesn't it? I don't remember what they said is, PIW or what it was that they said over the 1MC, but it was go time because the weather was shitty, and we hopped in there and we went.
You had mentioned flying out was just awful, so low levels and coming up on scene.
Yeah, it was incredibly windy. It was incredibly cold, and flying through Buskin Pass. It's lucky for us that going through Buskin Pass, they have a low visibility route right through there, and we took that, but we could barely see the ground below us, and it was whiteout conditions. Every now and then you'd catch a tree whip by, out of the window. But up and over the pass.
Jeez, oh man! All right, so bring us to on scene. You come over the raft. Now Rod's all excited. He's like, "Holy shit, the Coast Guard's here! It's a helicopter!
Yeah.
Hell yeah!"
Yeah, the first thing I noticed, and it was something I hadn't ever seen before, was that the sea fog, which is basically every time a wave breaks, it turns into snow. So that's what was creating that fog. The water was warmer than the air. A wave would break, and it was, and anything that it landed on, it would turn to ice. So we get down into a hover, and right like that, we start collecting ice. I get in the door. I'm getting ready to go down, and with how windy and gusty it was, that the helicopter we were hoisting tilted forward in a forward air attitude.
Yeah,
I'd never hoisted out like that. Normally when we're hoisting, it's calm out when we're doing training or whatever. So I get out on the hook, and since the helicopter's tipped forward at a forward airspeed attitude, I can see the pilot, and you don't normally see the pilot when you're on the hook, but just at the way that we're tilted forward. And then as I go down, I'm getting pressed into the auxiliary tank, and I actually had to shimmy my body over the nose of the auxiliary tank because it was blowing me back so hard.
So real quick, I got to paint a picture real quick. So on the H-60, the Jayhawk, the U.S. Coast Guard, not only do they have internal fuel tanks, they've got 3 external fuel tanks, 2 on the left and then 1 on the right. And they can make a big one or a small one. That's the auxiliary tank you're talking about. So it kind of looks like a bomb. Make a big long.
Yeah, it looks like a bomb. They call it the bomb rack when they're putting them on there. And I had to slide around, and after I was lowered down below the bomb rack. I look up and I can't see my flight mech. I'm under the bomb rack. Normally when you look up, you can see the hoist and everything, but it was like I was skydiving because it was so windy. It was pushing me back towards the tail. And I think I sent you some still pictures. If you look at those pictures that were taken from the C-130, it looks like we're moving forward with the rotor wash behind us. We were in a hover. The raft was there, and our rotor wash was a good three rotor discs behind us. It was that windy. And so I get down, they lower me down to the water, and I disconnect. And the raft is gone. It's moving. And found out later we did from on scene to when we left scene, the SAR area where we did the rescue moved 3.4 miles. So that raft was booking. It was moving.
Oh my God.
So I see the raft taking off, and I give chase. I'm after the raft, and I'm giving it about 70%. I'm trying to get to the raft, and I'm just not gaining on it. So I crank it up a little bit, and still I'm making way. Every now and then a swell would kind of push me towards it. So that was good that I was coming up on the windward side, but that raft was trying to get away from me. And it's probably two minutes of 80% effort where I realized it at this pace, I'm not going to catch it. So I give it a full on sprint, and I close in on it, and I think I'm probably about 10 feet away from it. I realized that's it. And then I looked down. The water was crystal clear underwater. I could see the sea anchor below me. And I'm like, in my head, I think, and this was probably a bad idea, but I think if I can dive down to that sea anchor, I can climb up the rope to get to that raft. So that's what I did. So I went from pegged out max sprint to a surface dive, and immediately regret it because I'm going down, and as I'm going down, it's still pulling away from me. So the more time it takes me to get down, the deeper and deeper I have to go because the sea anchor is at a pitch, right? Yeah. So I swim down to the sea anchor and finally make it to the rope. And I don't know how long the sea anchor line is, but probably, I don't know, 25, maybe even 50 feet. I grab a hold of that line, and it is tight as a piano string. So that sea anchor is really getting tugged on, and I climb up it. And as I climb up to the raft, the tunnel's closing in. You know what I'm saying? I'm probably 20. What do you call them? Underwater hiccups, chicken. You know what I'm talking about when you're holding your breath and you start doing that. Your lungs are, yeah. They're saying, "Hey, stupid, take a breath." Well, you're underwater. You can't do that, can you? I climb up that raft, and I finally get a hand on the raft and come up, and I get my arms on. I think there's another picture I sent you of that from the helo. And one of the guys rips open the canopy, and they look at me. I don't know. I don't remember what they said, but I was just like, "Give me a second. Give me a second. I gotta catch my breath." So,
oh my God!
Yeah,
hold on. Time out. We're gonna divert real quick to thank our sponsors.
Collins Aerospace Goodrich. Whether your mission is saving lives or servicing high-value assets, Collins Aerospace's Goodrich hoists stay ready to assist. Features such as single-point payout reduce the potential for hoist-induced load swings, enhancing overall safety.
Holy shit, bro. All right, Ron, I gotta come back to you real quick. You get the helicopter on scene. You now see Matt coming down. What's going through your head right now?
Well, so yeah, from our perspective, right? I watched him come down, and I watched us go by him. I didn't realize that he caught us. I assumed they picked him up again, and dropped him. It was, and I don't know if Matt knew this about me or knows, but you know, I was a commercial diver. I dove, you know, I don't think there's anybody who's dove more cucumbers than me in Alaska even today. And I know it's on the surface when it's cold and blowing. This is one of the things that really, really touched me about what Matt did, is when I'm diving and it's blowing and cold like that, I got to get underwater because it hurts your face, you know, your ears, your eyes, your nose, your lips. It hurts. And I didn't realize, but I remember when he came there and he's like, I just got to have a minute, right? And I don't remember what we said to him. I got to have a minute, and he's, who's the worst one? And we were like, it's John. And then he said it was going to take, I want to say he said maybe 5 minutes from the time he pulls out till we're in the helicopter, something like that. But it was taking way longer. And what I didn't realize is that all the problems they were having on the helicopter, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
We're gonna get into that in a second. I love this. I love this. That pops up. Give me a second. Just give me, bro.
Yes.
Yeah, I couldn't. I could barely say that. Right?
Yeah.
Holy shit!
And I went third, and I don't know if Matt remembers this, but he had a hard time getting me in the basket because the basket was underwater, right?
Yep. No, and I popped in there and I said, "Who's the worst?" And you pointed to John.
John, the old man.
Yep. Yeah, you said that, but I looked to the back of the raft and you were sitting there with your Gumby suit down around your waist in a t-shirt, a wet t-shirt. And I knew that you were not good because it was that cold and your Gumby suit was off and you were wet. And I, you know, they say that, you know, the last stage of hypothermia, you think you're getting hot. And that's what I was thinking in my head. This guy thinks he's warm and cozy. And you actually had a smile on your face. I remember that.
I was pretty happy to.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I remember seeing you with your Gumby suit around your waist and thinking this guy is the one that I need to pay attention to. So I grabbed John and started getting to work.
All right, run us through that, Matt. So you get a minute, you collect yourself, catch your breath, lap 1 complete, underwater.
Jeez, yeah.
1 complete.
Yeah, well, I learned from that's not what I was gonna do again. I was not gonna do that again. So I took John, I put him in the basket, sent him up, and actually the helo lost me after I sent him up in the basket because the raft was going so fast and I wasn't going to chase it again. I knew I had helicopter power. They could come and get me. They stayed with the raft and they continued hovering away as they brought John up. But yeah, they all went away from me and it went totally quiet aside from the wind. I was sitting there and hoping that they still had me in sight, but I couldn't see them. The helo and the raft were out of sight. And so I sat there, I don't know how long it was, hoping that I wasn't lost at sea, right? They finally came back and picked me up after they had cleaned up the cabin with getting John in there. So they pulled me up, and then I briefed them. I said, that raft is moving way too fast. I'm not going to chase it again. You're going to put me down ahead of it and let it come to me. So that's what we did the next couple times.
Nice.
Yeah.
Just for the record, nobody can catch a raft. Okay. Well, apparently you can. One time.
Once. Yeah.
Dude, those rafts are moving so fast. And it's the worst part about it is all of us do it at one point. Oh yeah, I can catch it. No, you can't.
Right.
Go in front of the raft. Just gonna throw that out there. All right. So that's one. You get leapfrogged in front of the raft for the second one. Then what?
Well, and also on that one, I changed it up a little bit, decided to do sling deployments on the next one. so I could go up because I knew I was going to need to be repositioned again. So instead of setting them up in a basket and then me going up, cut the hoists in half, I would go up with them, let them reposition and come back down. So the next one, pretty uneventful. Went to the raft, pulled them out, delivered the strop. Up we went, readjusted, and Ron, you were the third one. My memory of the sequence isn't too good, but yeah. And did I take you with a strop or a basket?
Basket.
Okay, you were a basket. Okay.
We couldn't. I didn't. For some reason, you were having a hard time getting me in the basket.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay.
I remember it's basically underwater, and
yeah, you were floating. You were floating. I think I had to give you an elbow to the
that's right.
gut to push to crank your butt down in there. Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry about
and
that.
I wasn't as well as I normally would either, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, and yeah, it was. We were covered in ice. Every time I would go up, I'd bring ice with me, and it would add to the ice on the cabin floor. Like I said, the blade ice and the ice warning lights were going off in the helo. The up limit switch for the hoist hook froze, so they had to disable that, which meant if the flight mech were to two block it or bring it all the way up, it could potentially shear the hook off. So the flight mech had to keep that in mind. Where it said in the award write-up that I had to lose my mask. What was going on there was every time I dunked my face on the water to clear the ice off, it would just come right back. And I couldn't understand why until I took my mask off. I realized my face was steaming so much, and that steam on the inside of the mask was freezing, and I couldn't get that out of there. So I just had to put my mask on my head and go. And then after, I don't know, a couple minutes, my eyes started freezing shut. It was a mess, but it was fun. You know what I mean? It was go time, and we were doing it. So
at one point, it does mention that you fell out of the helicopter because of the ice on the inside. What? Yeah,
I mean, I was on the hook, so it wasn't a big deal, and the cable was.
Was it I fell out of the helicopter. Not a big deal.
It was more of like a roll back and kind of dump and the flight mech was managing the person that I was getting in there. But yeah, the whole deck was covered with ice. So I was doing a little ice skating shuffle and out the door, and then I was back in right after that. So not that big of a deal.
No big deal. No big deal. Freaking Matt Theissen. Oh my God. So it's something funny that I'm gonna backtrack to our A school days, and I remember this so vividly. Is at one point we're in the pool, or you specifically are in the pool doing a multi, and you had taken your mask off and threw it. And our instructor, Mike Odell, is spraying you with water. Don't ever take your mask off. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to always remember that. And then here you are.
Yep. Who knew? Who knew? I was actually going to have to take my mask off.
Eyes freezing shut. Oh my God. My God. All right. So we got Ron out. You got one more to go. Same thing. Quick drop.
I believe it was a quick drop, and I remember thinking for a second, school training, right? I got to pop this raft. You know, I'm pulling the last guy out, and for some reason I'm thinking I got to pop this raft, and but it was a direct, and the raft was not wanting to stay with us, right? It was kind of going, and I was I was like sitting on the sponson, getting the quick drop on, and the raft so I was like, you know what? I'm not popping this raft. I just let it go and just rolled out of there, and then up we went. So,
dude, awesome. All right, Ron, let me come back to you. You are now sitting inside the helicopter. The whole crew, your entire crew is up there. Cabin door comes closed, locked, heat's coming on. What's going through your head right now?
I have to say that it was, it changed my life, right? And it's not the sinking, it's not the being rescued, it's watching another human being risk his life to save us, right? And it was not lost in me what Matt was risking. I realized what was going on, and you know, and most people would have said I was a pretty nice guy then, but you know, I was worried about Ron up until that point in my life, and I got back to Kodiak a different man. I wanted to be more like Matt. I wanted to be somebody who is a benefit to society. Matt's my hero. I mean that. Absolutely mean that. He changed
Awesome.
my life.
Thank you, Ron.
Well done.
Yeah, you betcha. Thank you.
Well
And I
done.
think Matt.
My pleasure.
I know I sent him for at least 5 years. And then at one point they told me he'd been transferred, but you got those thank you letters on the anniversary every year, didn't you?
I did not. No.
Yeah,
What?
I sent letters to the Coast Guard in Kodiak for like
Maybe they're
5
sitting in admin somewhere.
7 years. Yeah.
I did
Wait,
not
Yeah,
all
get
right,
those.
let's go into a little detail with this. We gotta let Matt know. Come on, Ron. So you were sending
Well,
a letter every year for 7 years?
absolutely. Absolutely. Yep.
Oh man, that's amazing.
That's a
Yeah,
shame
I
I
This
didn't
stuff
get those.
we don't ever hear this
Yeah.
stuff, Ron. We don't know.
I
This is
No.
great.
We don't.
back and
No.
they're like, is there anything we can do for you? And I'm like, no, wait a minute. No, we'll clean your toilets. What do you want us to do? Right. And
I had no idea.
yeah, and you know, Matt,
Jason, you know how we got in touch? Me and Ron?
No.
John Limborn. He was a swimmer.
Yeah.
And he went warrant and he did an inspection on, right, am I right, Ron? He did an
Yep.
inspection on one of your boats.
Yep.
And Ron mentioned me, and through the brotherhood, I got in contact. So
Oh my gosh.
yeah, I talk about you all the time. Like I said, you're my hero.
well, thanks.
And I'm a way better man because of it. I'm a big benefit to Cordova now. I wouldn't have been the man I am now if it wasn't for Matt. No way. Wouldn't have happened.
Well, I appreciate
Damn,
it.
Ron.
Thanks.
That's freaking awesome.
Hmm. That makes me feel
Matt,
good. Yeah, you're right. We don't follow up, do we? I
No.
mean, how can you follow up with every case and everything you do? You gotta keep moving on, right? Like I said the other night, we treat this stuff like doing your laundry or doing dishes. It's, you just do it and then you move on, and you kind of have to, because you get caught up in things. So
Yeah. I'm gonna throw a jab at Coast Guard Kodiak Air Station right now.
yeah,
for
come
not
on,
getting
guys.
not getting the letters to like the whole crew. Rod, I'm gonna tell you as another swimmer, like, we appreciate a letter like that. That means more to me personally than anything else. A letter coming from somebody like you. So Matt,
Yes,
I'm gonna
indeed.
throw this to Matt. It means something. So thank you. That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And for all your entire crew, Matt, they all got thank you letters for 7 years.
Well, the crew, I addressed them to Matt.
No,
Right?
okay, Matt.
Yeah. Yeah.
We won't tell the
and
rest
my
of the
daughter,
crew. It's cool.
my daughter wrote one and a candy bar in it. Yeah, but
I love candy. That makes me mad.
We're gonna have to call somebody up there.
Yeah.
I did it, changed my whole attitude towards the Coast Guard too, right? Normally as fishermen, oh, we're getting bored, right? And it's like, come on, boy, Do whatever you want.
Nice.
Yep.
Wow, you guys, this is amazing. Oh, you know what? I wanted to ask one more thing, Matt, is because now that when you got those guys inside the aircraft, again, the whole inside of the cabin, I can picture the whole thing is covered in ice.
Yep.
The degraded hoist based on icing conditions and the pendant getting frozen up and worrying about all that. So once you're inside the cabin, you've got these 4 guys in there, cabin door comes closed and locked. You've got about a 30-minute flight to get home and still shit weather. Like it's not over for you guys. Like I get it, Ron, for you guys. Yeah. Ron, you guys are like, I'm in the helicopter, I'm saved. But please know that us as the air crew, it's not over. We still got to get home. And that is where the next start. And that's where we're like having badass pilots up front, badass air crew in the back. We're getting it. So give me a rundown of the flight back and taking care of these guys. What was that like?
Well, it was obvious that their biggest concern was hypothermia, right? I didn't have to tell the pilots or anybody to turn on the heat. They cranked that up, and it was blasting. I opened my dry suit up not because I was cold, but because I was hot. I had been working so hard. I cracked open my dry suit and steam came out. And the flight mech looked at me and we just laughed. It was really just trying to get the guys dry and get them warm, right?
Yeah.
They were all talking and looking at me, and I knew the transit wasn't going to be that long, and it really wasn't that long because we had a tailwind, and that tailwind was whipping. So we got home really quick. EMS was on the tarmac when we got there. The skipper was on the tarmac when we got there. They came and grabbed these guys, and I went to the back of the ambulance. There wasn't any room for me, but I was looking for a seat for me because my eyes were cooked from freezing, and they were burning pretty good. And I told the HS, my eyes are burning, whatever. Kind of implying that I should maybe go with you, but he's like, "There's no room in here." He gave me some saline and shut the door, and they took off. And I was like, "All right, I guess I don't need to see medical." But yeah, that was it there, and off they went.
Oh my God, Matt, I freaking love you, bro. Damn. Wow. You guys, oh my gosh, this story is just blowing my mind. I cannot thank you guys enough for coming on and sharing it. Ron, I'm sorry the guys didn't get your letters. Matt, I'm sorry you didn't get the letters.
Yeah, I want that candy bar. Yeah, I'll be all right. I don't need a candy bar. But I appreciate it. Really
Ron, for you guys and your crew, I am so happy that you guys, the turnout that happened, that everything worked out for you guys. It's amazing. This is an incredible story. So well done. Well done.
Yeah. Thanks for your time, Ron, for sure, for coming on.
Yeah. Hey, too. Real life hero, Matt. You're a real life.
I appreciate it. Yeah. Just doing my job.
Mad props to you. Go, Ron, go.
You were above and beyond your job. You were risking your life. And I don't think you're asked to risk your life.
Yeah. Well, that's what we train for, right? Right, Jason?
That's right. That's right.
Class 10-0-0.
Hoorah.
Yeah. Hoorah.
That's us. We went to school together. Me and him. That guy right there.
Yep.
Oh, man. Matt, again, mad props to you and the crew. I'll even throw a shout out to the C-130 crew for spotting the raft to make that all happen. You guys, thank you so much for coming on and telling this story. It's an incredible story. You guys are awesome. Thank you. One of these days, maybe all 3 of us can get together. We can kick back a beer, maybe in Cordova, huh?
Hey, yeah, you guys have my number.
Done. I love it. I need to renew my Alaska state driver's license, so I got to get up there for something. Yeah.
I need to go up just to go fishing.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Ron will take you. Ron will take you. He's been sending me. He'll take you moose hunting and duck hunting, and yeah. He's been sending me all kinds of pictures. Yeah.
I think the 3 of us just made a date. I'm gonna throw that out there. Like we're gonna go out and hang out together. I'm in.
Yeah.
Dude, awesome. Well, I'll tell you what, guys, I appreciate it. I won't keep any more of your time. Again, thank you so much for sharing the story. And I'll catch up with you guys later, unless you guys got anything else.
That's it.
Right on.
That's all I got.
In that case, with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are out of here.
Go.
Now it's time for me to pull chocks and take off. But before I go, I'm always looking for the memorable rescues that people have done. If you have one that you're willing to share or know somebody who has a story, please feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to highlight it here at the Real ResQ. For everybody that is standing by for that SAR alarm, remember, those in distress are praying for a miracle. They are going to get you. So until next time, fly safe and swim hard. Thank you for joining me today here at the Real ResQ Podcast, powered by Vertical Helicast. We'd also like to say thank you to our sponsors for this episode.
Collins Aerospace Goodrich. Whether your mission is saving lives or servicing high-value assets, Collins Aerospace's Goodrich hoists stay ready to assist. Features such as single-point payout reduce the potential for hoist-induced load swings, enhancing overall safety.
Holy cow, he is freaking fast. Good job, Rotor. Let's go, Rotor Blade. Come on, run the beach. Run the beach, go. Yep, this is a rough life for him. He's just having a rough life. Rescue pup. Just enjoying the waves on the beach. Isn't that right, Brother Blade? Isn't that right? Yeah, good boy. Oh, somebody's gonna lay down in the water and cool off. That's what I'm talking about. Don't worry, Rotor. We're going swimming later. Yes.